Highlights of the 2017 Desert Dash are proudly brought to you by Nedbank in association with CYMOT, the Grove Super Spa and Indongo Toyota. The Nedbank Desert Dash is a unique mountain bike experience. 369 kilometers across the ancient Namibia desert from Windhoek to Swakopmund. While it is a truly testing physical challenge, the Desert Dash feeds the explorer's soul as it takes the riders through the stark beauty of the desert, into the wonder of the moon landscape, and onto the misty, ethereal finish on the Atlantic coast at Swakopmund. Registration at the Grove Mall in Windhoek saw thousands of riders collect their race numbers and well-stocked goodie bags. The Desert Dash caters for solo entries, those strong men and women who complete the entire route on their own, as well as for 2- and 4-person teams who tackle the race in a relay format. Preparation for a race this long requires a good hearty meal, and as part of the package, the Grove Super Spa provided just that for the riders. The race briefing was well attended as the riders learned all about what they were in for. And CYMOT gave away a beautiful Scott bike worth 20,000 Rand as a lucky draw prize. Solo rider Jeff Shrimp was the lucky winner. CYMOT are not just a sponsor, they're deeply committed to the Nedbank Desert Dash.
We want to give something back to the cyclists, but also, and more importantly, and I'll talk a little bit about the halfway point, we are giving something back to all the participants. Half of the participants are coming from outside Namibia, and they're experiencing Namibia maybe for the first time, and to give them a unique experience about this absolutely unique event. I've personally done the Desert Dash for many, many years, first in a 4-man team, then a lot of 2-man teams. Have done a solo as well, and many years ago, like 6-7 years ago, I still vividly remember the Koma Safari Lodge switchover, which at that time was the halfway point for the Nedbank Desert Dash. And we were standing there was only a small fire burning, and everybody was like grumpy, it was cold, the wind was howling. And on this evening, actually, the thought was born to develop a complete mini city, an atmosphere, a mini oasis in the middle of the desert. So this year again, we're trying to do it better than last year. There will be a tent, there will be kitchen, there will be food, drinks available. We'll have a DJ there, we've got an MC there. So there will be a lot of excitement waiting for all the participants and the supporters there at kilometer 180 in the middle of the Namib Desert.
The Desert Dash clearly engenders great loyalty from sponsors and riders alike. Around 40% of the field are international visitors, and a large contingent come from the cold winter climes of Germany. They are a tight-knit group, and after doing the admin of building up their bikes the day before the race, they headed out of town into the Kupferberg Pass for a short leg loosener.
Today is only for training, only to see what happens. Tomorrow for sure we do it a little bit slower, so because the race is long and we don't know what happens the next 350 kilometers. It's not my first time to race during the night, but I think it's the first time about this kind of roads. So I think it's gonna be very hard to concentrate on the track. So when you focus on the small bend of light, I think this is gonna be difficult for me. This is also the reason why we came here to Namibia. It's the first time, of course, but a lot of people in Germany told us about this country, about the fascination of this country, and I will see. This year also I do race across America in an 8-person team. So, and this will be a very good ending of the year 2017. Desert Dash, and then Christmas and Sylvester, New Year's Eve, and everything is okay. We are very glad and very proud to be here.
It's my first time that I'm in Namibia. I'm very curious to see this beautiful country. This year I made the race across America with this team here, and I was so delighted that I decided to go also to Namibia to have this beautiful race through the desert. It's an ambitious activity, so we are enjoyed to go this difficult way through the desert, because in Germany we don't have any desert, so it's a challenge for us. No?
The women's defending champion is 29-year-old German international triathlete Rebecca Robisch, who had joined her countrymen and women for the ride.
I like the country, and I like the heat, and I like mountain biking. So I do also mountain bike races at home in Germany, But here, this is a special race, and yeah, it's a very good organization, nice people here. And I have the group and I can travel with it, so it's perfect.
Race day at the Nedbank Desert Dash. With a 24-hour time limit, the start was at 3 p.m. The vibe was electric as the riders gathered in the Grove Mall car park. This was the point of no return. Time for last-minute bike checks, tweaks, twists and turns, the odd nap, and of course plenty of stretching and some nervous smiles. And then they were off. For many, an annual mountain bike pilgrimage was underway. And for the first-timers, a journey into the unknown. Regardless of the experience, the excitement levels were off the scale as they rolled away. The big lead group hit the dirt in a cloud of dust on the Kupferberg Pass. The three main protagonists in the men's solo race were South Africa's Max Knox, Namibian road pro Dan Craven, and Swiss marathon champion Connie Losse, who was hunting a hat-trick of victories. The Kupferberg Pass, heading in a westerly direction, is at around 2,000 meters above sea level, and the gradient at times reaches 8%. The early hills had already thinned the lead group out. With its long, wide dirt roads, the Desert Dash is not a tough technical challenge, but it makes up for that in its distance, and pacing oneself over the first few hours is crucial to achieving your goals. An early mechanical is definitely not part of the plan, but it's all part of mountain biking. Further back in the field, the pace was already fairly slow, but the mood was good. The Nedbank Desert Dash has the wonderful effect of bonding people from all over the world together, all in a common purpose, which creates a huge lycra-clad mobile community.
Daar is nie onderskeid tussen ons nie. Ons is almal amper een. Ons voorbereiding was basies dieselfde. Jou mental strength moet dieselfde wees. So die ondersteuning is daar. Almal is 'n fietsry community. So ons gaan mekaar ondersteun of jy nou 4-man span doen of 'n solo rider is of 2 man. Almal is deel van die fietsry community in Namibia. En ook die fietsryers wat van buite afkom. Fietsryers is maar fietsryers. So wanneer jy by mekaar kom is almal een. Ek ken die wêreld redelik goed en ons oefen baie hier, maar steeds al oefen jy elke naweek op die paaie is vandag net baie spesiaal en wanneer jy daar aankom, ek dink nie dit is 'n gevoel wat enige iemand kan beskryf vir iemand nie.
There are 5 checkpoints on the route, and the leading group arrived at the first one at 32 kilometers after around an hour and a quarter. For some, a chance for a quick water bottle refill by the helpful crew. The back of the field was still making their slow but steady progress up the pass. The roadside support much appreciated by the riders, who spend between 18 and 24 hours on their bikes.
Lekker. Baie lekker warm.
After about an hour and a half, Rebecca Roberts was looking very strong as she set the pace in the women's race. She'd found a good group to ride with and was, importantly, hydrating regularly. Meanwhile, Bill Euster was making good time up the pass. He was keen to avoid the disappointment he experienced a year ago.
It was a bit of a disappointment in not finishing in time. I think my preparation was quite good. I did everything I had to do in the prep. My nutrition was good, and I did my homework. And come race day, it went well. And then I started struggling at stage 3. That's the difficult stage for me. It's up those hills, 35 k's of climbing out of the Quisep River, and I lost some time there. I really did, and I ended. I think it was something like 8 minutes out of time. Motivation is really a strange thing. My motivation is just finishing the race, getting there at the end in time, and saying that I've done it under 24 hours. Not 24 hours, 1 second later, but and really that drives me on.
Up front, the leaders were hammering along. Dan Craven in the green and Max Knox were serious challengers to Connie Losse's bid for a third win. Also in the group, the 2-rider team of Xavier Popo and Chippy Morangi of Money's Bike Maker.
Now it's about the challenge, It's about it's proper competition this year, and it's also really special for me coming from Switzerland, riding through a desert, especially in the night, and that's just an amazing experience.
I'm a bit nervous. I don't know if I'm in their league over 370 Ks. I mean, I never ridden more than 220, 230, but Connie said it's easy, so I'll give it a crack.
It's never easy. I mean, it depends on the speed you go. I mean, if you're for your own speed for 370, then it might be all right. But if you want to go for a win and you have to, you have some proper competition, then it's going to be hard.
You think that it's utterly impossible, but your mind just knows the finish line is only after 370 kilometers, and as long as you don't go too hard at the start, hopefully not, then all you have to do is chug along, and it blew me away. I never thought that it would be as possible as it was.
The community cycling in Namibia is very family orientated, and the guys really, there's a good banter and a healthy rivalry and competition amongst the guys. And there are a lot more people from South Africa that are realizing that they've got a bit of heritage in Africa, and their parents came to Namibia, so for them they think about this iconic trek from Windhoek to Swakopmund in December every year. Now you can do it on your bike, so it makes it very special.
What makes it the premier event is it's going from Windhoek to Swakopmund. It's having these two big well-known places with an amazing, mind-blowing route along the way that it feels like a proper journey.
The best thing to go is just to go stage by stage for your mind, that you say, okay, the first 180 is hilly, and then when you reach this point, then you say, okay, the next 70 kilometers you go a bit flat, and so step by step, it's like an interval training, and in the end, it's all in your mind.
The hardy local Namib Desert residents were going about their daily lives, oblivious to the passing fair, as the Nedbank Desert Dash riders continued their magnificent journey across this beautiful desert. Bill Euster was well ahead of schedule and arrived at checkpoint 1 just 45 minutes after the leaders. Was he pushing too hard? Rebecca Robish has a number of top 10 finishes on the ITU World Cup circuit and managed to qualify for the Rio Olympics, although she didn't compete there. She was approaching the Ndongo Toyota water point after 2.5 hours of riding. On board with Team Darnie's Angels. Checkpoint 1 was a hive of activity, as it's here that the teams split up, leaving one rider to go on to Checkpoint 2. Support crews are very much part and parcel of the Nedbank Desert Dash. 3.5 hours in, and Rebecca was sticking like a limpet to the group she'd found soon after the start. A wise tactic. With the shadows lengthening, Bill Euster had reached the Ndongo Toyota water point around 68 kilometers into the race. He was showing signs of fatigue, but nothing that a brief stop and some refreshment couldn't sort out for now.
Good, very nice. Just took it out slowly. The wind is in our favour, it's not too bad. So far it's going okay. No problem so far. I hope it stays like that. And now we go for the big hills.
Doc Craven's grandson, Dan Craven, was in some difficulty though and had lost contact with the lead bunch. So what was the problem?
I had to pull over to the side of the road. Stomach's not so lekker today.
Up ahead, Max Knox and Connie Losa have a chat. The former SA Marathon champion from Sabi tells the Swiss champion to go ahead. But as they're heading into the twilight, the pair regroup once more. Riding along in companionable silence, enjoying the breathtaking desert sunset. It makes the journey more enjoyable. As does a little vocal support from your teammates in the support vehicle. The ever-changing beauty of the Namib Desert is revealed once more as the back of the field plummet down Oos Pass. There can be few more enjoyable experiences on a bike than riding into the soft amber glow of the desert sunset. Serenity tinged with excitement as riders prepare for darkness. The camaraderie between the leading two riders was evident when Connie took time to help Max with a seat post or saddle issue. And they were soon on their way again. One of these two would win the race. The Oospaas can be tricky at speed in the daytime, and it gets pretty hairy after nightfall. Welcome refreshment and rest was on hand at the Superspa checkpoint. These stops have to be well managed by the riders. It's important to rest, eat and drink, but not for too long. Bill Euster had made it.
No, I'm still feeling okay. A bit crampy. My left leg's been cramped a lot up beginning of Oospaas, and I can't get rid of it, but I have to stretch it a bit for the ride now.
Well up the road, Max and Connie had been joined by two team riders, Driekus Coetzee and Piet Sweeges. Remember, they had not ridden the whole route, so their legs were fresh. Connie won the Swiss Marathon title in school in June and was second with Olivier Zuberg in the Swiss Epic in September. His form was clearly good. But things were not going well for Bill Euster.
Some serious cramping here.
After about 5.5 hours riding, sadly Bill withdrew shortly after this. Women's race leader Rebecca was at a checkpoint after 6.5 hours of riding. Her mother was a wonderful support. A bite to eat, a kiss from Mum, and she was soon back on the road. The famous CYMOT halfway point was a race village fit for a king and queen. Plenty of food and drink, comfortable chairs and tables, and most importantly, after 180 kilometers, some love and attention for the bikes. Among the relaxed riders awaiting their teammates, Michelle Forster, who teamed up with Carmen Buchacha. The vibe was enhanced by the infectious enthusiasm shown by the supporters. At around 2:30 a.m. at the Lange Heinrich water point on stage 5, Max Knox cut a relaxed figure chatting with Namibian legend and former teammate Manny Heymans. The heavy sand along the Sokop riverbed made it hard going for Connie and the leading four-man team of Tristan de Lange, Hans de Tooy, Alex Miller and Daniel de Kooi of Manny's bike maker. Connie's cyclocross experience comes into play here, and even after 13 hours, he's still able to run. And they were soon rolling over the finish line together at Swakopmund after just under 14 hours of riding. A truly phenomenal achievement.
I'm super happy to take the third win in a row, and the competition was there, definitely. The beginning was very hard, and I think the guys just, they were all nervous and overpaced themselves, so some of them got real problems, and I knew how to race with my experience from the last 2 years, and I think I did a perfect job. I rode every time on the right spot to save energy and to carry on with the other two-man or four-man teams. I was always staying in the front, and I think that was, in the end, the right decision, because the other guys, they were on their own and they lost a bit of time.
Connie also was the only sub-14-hour solo finisher, while Max Knox the only sub-15-hour rider. Tinus Redlinghuis was third, and Morné Nel and James Parkin also clocking in under 16 hours. The Manny's bike maker quartet were the dominant team as they finished nearly 40 minutes ahead of the Kia Elite UCT team, with Andrew McLean's Gondwana Dust Devils just 2 minutes behind them. The leading two-man team were the Kia Elite pair of Kobus Smit and Driekus Coetzee as they rolled over the line in the early hours of Saturday morning. They'd been on their own for a long time and finished in 14 hours 41 minutes, nearly 50 minutes clear of Niels van Sail and JP Berger of Team Timber-X, with King Price Insurance of Brahm and Clinton in third. Further back in the race, as the sun rose in the east, some riders could enjoy the warmth on their backs. But for those heading down into the simply mind-blowing beauty of the moon landscape, it was a different story. This quite extraordinary landscape was caped in a shroud of mist, evidence that the cold Atlantic Ocean was not far away. After a simply superb ride, Rebecca Robisch hit the pallet pathway at Swakopmund to put the finishing touches to her second victory in the Nedbank Desert Dash.
It was a perfect day for me. There was no wind and not too hot, so I started very fast at the beginning to catch a good group of men, and yeah, that was the goal at the first half of the race, and I had a good group until checkpoint 3, and I was really fast and I had good legs. So after checkpoint 3 I was alone, but I knew that I'm strong enough to can finish it alone, and so I did it, and I'm really happy.
Rebecca was nearly 2.25 hours ahead of second place Wilmine Chamberlain, with Andre Parker only 3 minutes ahead of fourth place Barbara Ackerman. And shortly afterwards, the Holland Machine women's quartet of Marguerite Vervey, Anja du Toit, Wanda Tattersall and Hester Prince rolled in and crossed the line to take the win in the women's four-rider team category. They were 22 minutes ahead of the prop shaft engineering foursome, with the Namibia Coffee Roaster Dashers in third place. The four-person mixed team race was won by the Ndongo Toyota quartet of Andre and Janine de Klerk, Michelle Doman and Eddie Viljoen. They were just over an hour and a half faster than CYMOT Scott quartet of Sandra Lippert, Gudrun Marshall and Philip and Axel Thiessen, with the Terrain Tamers in third. In the soft morning light, Namibian Olympian Michelle Forster and Carmen Buchacha of Janine Suzelle Davin Sports Trust put together a fantastic ride to win the women's two-person team race. Camille Stals and Genevieve Weber of Marathon Sugar were second, 41 minutes back, with Janine Miller and Marie de Toy, the Oakley Group girls, third, an hour and 20 minutes back. Nicole Jordan and Jana Krier were the first mixed pair home in a fast 16 hours and 28 minutes, an hour and 12 minutes clear of Christian and Silke Been. Meanwhile, back at Gonikantes in the moon landscape, the fog had lifted and the sun was shining as the teams regathered to ride the final stage of the 46 kilometers together as per the race rules. This is the soul of the Nedbank Desert Dash, where the riders dig deep into their mental and physical lockers to find that extra motivation and strength to continue on. It's the darkness before the beautiful light of the finish. These are the true heroes.
I have much more respect for the guys that actually just finish within 24 hours. I'm talking about the solo riders now. The top guys are there in 13, 14, 15 hours. The guys at the back, they almost spend twice as much time in the saddle. They are the real heroes. But that's what the Dash is about. It's the longest stage race in the world, single stage race. And the heat and the high altitude is what makes it so challenging. The bulk of the participants are still Namibians, which is good. We had about 300 odd South Africans and then about 20 other different nations. I think the German contingent was about 43 or something, and it's growing every year, which is nice to see. So with social media and just word of mouth, the event is growing. That's what we want. We would like to see as many people come to Namibia, fall in love with the country, the race, and come again as tourists. That's what we're looking for.
Most finish lines are charged with emotion, but this one at the Nedbank Desert Dash was something rather different. After completing such a monumental ride, there were outpourings of emotion as they came to terms with their achievements, be they fast or slow. They had finished. There was a poignant moment when Marnie Heymans welcomed the last solo finisher across the line, having missed the cut last year.
I loved it. I loved the comments from the foreign riders. I loved the comments from the Namibian riders. It was a real pleasure to be involved. The camaraderie is what makes this event so great. Namibians are a very hospitable bunch of people. I think it was the best one yet. A tremendous turnout, both from the Namibian public. We had a record involvement from non-Namibians. The average class of the rider, it's just notched up a step, and I think we're truly walking into a world-class event here.
The riders at the very back of the field were making their steady way towards the finish. They'd get there. They'd managed their training and race efforts perfectly, and they'd finished just inside the 24-hour cutoff at 3 p.m. on the Saturday afternoon. CYMOT's generosity was simply phenomenal. They gave away a second Scott bike, this time worth 50,000 Rand at the finish, and the lucky winner, Baron Duplessis. Enjoy the ride. And Ndongo Toyota gave away a beautiful Toyota Aygo worth 170,000 Rand in a lucky draw. The qualifying riders had to have started the race and to have been at prize giving, and the delighted lucky winner was Johannes Ueka. Congratulations, enjoy the drive. The top three at this year's Nedbank Desert Dash: winner Connie Lawser, flanked by runner-up Max Knox, and third place Tinus Riedlinghuis. And a big round of applause for the back-to-back winner Rebecca Robish in the women's race, ensuring that both solo trophies will have mantelpieces in Europe to rest on. Bringing the curtain down on a truly wonderful experience for all at the 2017 Nedbank Desert Dash. It's a race like no other, through a stunningly beautiful landscape. It's one you don't want to miss. Highlights of the 2017 Desert Dash were proudly brought to you by Nedbank in association with CYMOT, the Grove Super Spa and Indongo Toyota.